In this video, we're going to show you how you can sell 75,000 on Amazon. Welcome to Amazon Savages podcast. I'm joined with Savage Seth, who flips items from eBay to Amazon. He's been crushing it. He's been doing this for a few years now. I've watched his growth. It is extremely inspiring. He's patient. He's willing to put the work in, and it's paid off. And that's why he has the success that he does. He's got his own YouTube channel too, and excited to have him here on the Amazon Savages podcast.
Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
You got to put the work in. You got to actually try. You have to actually buy the product. You have to put hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work to get success. It ain't easy, but checkmate flips. Seth, you've probably done 20, 25,000 in profit the last 30 days ish.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my net profit is absolutely ridiculous because I'm super picky with what I send in. So
yeah,
it was 28 last month.
Heck yeah.
Which is crazy.
So, yeah, man. Break it down. How do you get to, that's the first question. How do you get to 75,000 in sales, 28,000 profit? How does a little Seth out there who's watching this 5 years, Seth 5 years ago, how do you convince that Seth? What roadmap do you lay out for him to get the results that you have right now?
Yeah. So 28% profit margin. So I think it's around 21,000 profit, but
okay.
Very, very happy with that. Yeah. So it's a slow, learn step by step what to do in your reselling business. Like if you've never sold an item before, I wouldn't expect to go and just crush it on Amazon right off the bat. Like it's step one, and then it's step two, and then it's step three, and then it's step four, and you just keep going with it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but I mean, I did an office clean out about 2 years ago, and I kind of discovered the world of electronics and office products and computer accessories and stuff. Looked up a bunch of items, found a whole new world of that, and I've been diving deep into that world ever since. Been doing used items for a long time, and then maybe a year ago, I transitioned to doing new items only.
Nice. So you're buying underpriced items on eBay, flipping them on Amazon. Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah. So eBay's kind of they don't have enough customers, honestly. Mm-hmm. And so their marketing is not as good as Amazon. So the place to go for market value or over market value stuff is Amazon. And then eBay, they just don't have as many customers, but they still have plenty of sellers listing the stuff. So, and a lot of these sellers are getting stuff at a really good price. And so they're willing to just sell it for market price on eBay. And of course, there's oftentimes some big differences there. So, yeah, so I was selling thermal printers, a lot of those, and I'm transitioned to a lot of other stuff. But yeah, you kind of just find items that have a regular sold price on eBay lower than the Amazon price. Obviously, mm-hmm. Looking at all the fees and stuff. And then you do that once, do that twice, get better at doing that, and then do that at scale eventually.
Yeah. Do you know what % of your inventory you're selling each month?
Yeah, the sell-through rate.
Yeah.
I don't know 100% numbers.
Do you know how much inventory you've sold the last 30 days?
I'd have to look.
I think I asked you this out in Tulsa. I think you had a pretty healthy sell-through. I think it was 20 or 30%.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of my stuff will sell within a month. And then there's some stuff that sells within a day or two or a week. And then there's a couple of things that I missed the mark on that. And it's 2-3 months.
Mm-hmm. And so you're buying all this inventory, you're shipping it to Little Owl Prep. We just talked about them on a previous pod. And I'm talking with Frank later today, but one of the few prep centers that I will actually recommend is Little Owl Prep. They do a great job for me. They did books, CDs, DVDs, but it sounds like they're doing other stuff for you too.
Yeah, they'll do some other stuff. And right now I'm doing a lot of FBM anyways. So mm-hmm. It's weird. We kind of went from sending a bunch of stuff, and they were listing the items and doing a pretty good job. But Now I'm just like, Q4 is here and I'm sending everything to myself. And they're like, why do you have 20 items at the prep center? But
Yeah.
Good guy, Frank.
They also use GoToLister. So all my GoToLister people out there, they use GoToLister back in the day when it was like the Indian version before it worked. So
they're dedicated.
Yeah. I'm speaking with him later today. I think we're going to get some type of like special offer set up where our users, he refers people to me and I refer people to him. Like I'm already referring people to him. Like people will listen to this podcast. They'll probably use Frank. But using a prep center is huge because you're purchasing these items. You're not touching them. You said it's not the quickest turnaround with Little Al, but it's fast enough. And the thing about prep centers is like, it is extremely difficult to find a reliable prep center. And I don't get affiliate commissions for recommending Frank. And hopefully this podcast doesn't ruin Little Al Prep because too many people will use them.
Yeah, I don't know why you're mentioning them, honestly.
I'm gonna start recommending Tiger Lily again. But people online usually don't talk about prep centers because everyone starts using them and then they suck. But Little Al Prep has been talked about online for years, and they've been good. So
they seem like they have good systems in place, and they're like fine with growing quite a bit.
They've been in business for years, like 5 plus, almost a decade now. And so for me, I think that's the most important thing with a prep center. Like if it's a random crack house that pops up in Montana and it's their first year in business, don't send them your items.
If they put your boxes on a tarp outside of a trailer, it's a bad idea.
We've got to have pictures of this. People don't even know what we're talking about, but we used a prep center that we thought it was like this big warehouse, all these systems, forklifts and shit. Turned out it was like literally like a crack house. It wasn't a crack house, but it looked like a crack house, like from the outside. There was Kohl's box. Somebody drove to the prep center and there was like Kohl's boxes outside. Like our items that we paid for were outside. Some of the items were under tarp. Some of them were exposed to the weather. And that's probably the worst prep center story that exists for Amazon sellers. And they still exist today. Go to tigerlilyprep.com. You guys can sign up, $1 per unit.
Wow. Yeah, I only lost about $6,000 there. So
yeah, I lost a few thousand too. So our point is with Little Al Prep, I've used them for years. And while with any prep center you use, there may be a time period where like, oh my gosh, my items have been there for a week and they haven't been listed yet. That's part of using a prep center. Like it will take time, but to have the owner communicate with you and actually like always do the right thing, that is very, very rare in the prep center space. So kudos to them. Seth, what is the number one piece of advice you can give to a beginner that wants to make 10,000 in sales each month?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice for beginners just in general is like, you should be tracking on a weekly, monthly basis, like what are your inputs into this business and then versus how much time it took you. I think that ratio really helps because you can actually understand like, okay, like it took me like 20 minutes to list these items. Like, why did it take me so long? Maybe I should use a listing software or like, maybe I should do something to improve that. GoToLister right there. So, yeah, basically just like track that stuff because like if you're just like shooting from the hip and you're like, yeah, I listed like 11 items this week, but like it didn't amount to any potential profit. Like you're just listing these little $5 items and then you have software costs. Like, of course you're not making money. Like you're not even covering your costs.
Yeah.
So doing that on a consistent basis and figuring out any way to list more inventory, buy more inventory in a shorter amount of time, like that's the roadmap to actually getting better at this.
Yeah. What kind of metrics are you tracking on a weekly basis?
Yeah. So a lot of people like to track their spend. I like to track my spend and I also like to track my potential profit. So like, let's say like stereotypical example, Nike shoes or something. Like we bought Nike shoes for $100. We plan on selling it after fees for $130. So that would be $30 profit, 30% ROI. So on that would be $100 spend, $30 potential profit. And like tracking that on your whole business on a weekly or monthly basis, however you want to do it, I find to be super helpful.
Yeah. So with GoToLister, we actually have a dashboard that shows you what your profit is for items sold. So this is gross profit. So it's what your sales are minus Amazon FBA fees minus what you paid for the item. So you can see this person did 27,000 in sales, but they're really left with a true 4,000 profit. Then you can see items listed, which I think is like, if you're a cherry picker, like if you're going out finding books, I think this is like the most important metric you can track is how many items you listing. You should have an items listed goal. But if you're someone like Seth, it's probably more so like inventory spend. Like what are you actually spending on inventory? And then you have items sold. You want to sell through at least 20% of your inventory a month as a bookseller. Now, if Seth, what did you say your sell through was?
It's probably more up like 70, 80, 90%.
Holy
like
shit.
I sell stuff pretty
That's
quick.
amazing. So you're almost selling 100% of your inventory each month. And the average sales price, if you know your average buy price is like $5 and your average sales price is $20 plus, then that's healthy margin to be had. Seth, what's your average sales price? Do you know?
It's like 140.
Yeah. So your average buy cost is probably what, like 60?
I don't even know my average buy cost.
Yeah.
All over the place.
That's another metric you can track is that. And then Seth, you said you tracked your potential profit. Let me show you guys real quick. So mobile view of GoToLister. A lot of people don't know you can do this with GoToLister.
This will be cool.
Yeah, let me show you real quick. So you can actually log on your phone. We'll have an app come out one day. Boom. So it's loading the stats there, but you see the batches and it tells you how much profit in each batch. So you can see all your batches
right there. It's focused. Awesome.
And your potential profit, and it's loading. There we go. There's the profit and sales for this account for the month.
So profits up top, sales up top, items sold, sales price. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And so what you would be tracking is potential profit. So just the batches. So like that tells you what your profit is per batch. So this is like every batch your prep center would make for you. You can see how much profit. So just a cool little feature there. But yeah, in the future, we'll have a mobile app. I think I'm going to call it GoToStats or something like that. Okay. What are the best types for you? I'm going to ask, what are the best types of products to sell on Amazon?
I think it links back to the advice before of like, how can you buy and list inventory in the shortest amount of time? So like if you're experimenting with a bunch of different categories, let's say you do some books, some DVDs, some media, you experiment with some thrifted items, some eBay to Amazon items, like which ones are taking you, they're giving you the most profit within the least amount of time. Like you can find these items, you can list these items, you can sell these items in the shortest amount of time. For me, I find that high ASP items, average selling price items, are usually the best. And I like my office electronics, tools, computer accessories. And like I found, here's just a little story about that. I used to sell on eBay full time. I was selling on eBay full time, like used clothes, used shoes, like hiking boots, etc. Again, I had like a spend goal and a potential profit goal every single week. And I was like, it would be really fun to try and do some Amazon FBA books. And like, I knew at that time it was taking me like whatever it was, like 5 minutes to list an item, like take all the pictures, list it, and then 5 minutes to send an item out. So like per item, that's 10 minutes of time that I have to spend beyond just finding the item. And so when I started doing Amazon FBA books, I realized even with Seller Central, it was only taking me 4 minutes to list the book. And if I use a listing software, that's like cut in half or even less. And so like every single item that you find, like it only takes a minute instead of 10 minutes, which is a huge deal when you're doing some volume. So like the types of items are best if you can buy and sell them and list them quickly. Books are great for that, honestly.
How much are you doing many book flips right now, or mainly electronics and stuff?
I got like a couple.
Gotcha. So you don't look for, I guess it would be textbooks, but that's kind of a sketchy item to flip. eBay to Amazon.
Yeah, I'm a little scared of that. I'm already
Yeah.
taking enough risk as it is.
Yeah.
Although it's probably super profitable, honestly. But
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why there's like anytime there's a lot of profit to be had in any business, that's when
Yeah.
the sharks come out. And
Yeah.
we have the law firms out there. We have everyone's trying to get a piece of the pie, you know. So, what's a secret you've learned that's helped grow your Amazon business?
Yeah, I would say like just talking to other people. It's kind of like you hear that advice a lot, but it's like if you have a problem in your store and in your experience, like if you've helped this person before and it's like a mutual relationship, not just like you DMing someone that you've never helped before, but like you've helped them in the past, like they're gonna want to help you in the future. So like having those relationships where you can be like, okay, like I don't know how to fix this error, or I don't know how to actually check out, or like, have you ever had this eBay error, et cetera, et cetera. Like it's so much easier to figure stuff out with other people rather than just Googling it yourself. Although you should be able to do that too.
Mm-hmm. What else have you gotten from networking with people? Do you share leads? Do you is it mainly knowledge based? Is it like maybe like sourcing secrets? Like what type of benefit are you getting out of these relationships?
Yeah. So an example of this was I had been selling used items eBay to Amazon for around a year. And I met another seller, Josiah, who I'm really good friends with to this day. And like I discovered by
I gotta
talking
get him on the pod, man.
What's that?
I gotta get him on the pod. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, I need to get him on like my YouTube channel too. It's time for another interview with him. But he's a good guy, really good friend of mine. But yeah, like talking to him, I ended up discovering like he does completely new items eBay to Amazon. And like I was always scared to do that because I thought I was just going to get destroyed IP claim and counterfeit claim wise. Like I was getting claims doing used items, and I was like, oh, imagine what it would be if I sold new items. But like, no, he was actually getting less than I was, which was interesting. Like you kind of like break those mental beliefs that are beliefs. And like those mental beliefs that you have, like you'll talk to like the average seller sometimes, and they'll be like, oh, DVDs, I'm not going to do them. eBay to Amazon, there's too many fakes out there. Like that's just kind of a belief that kind of needs to be changed. Like there's a lot of those out there.
Yeah. There's a lot of like weird rumors too. Like getting ungated in DVDs cost over $25 MSRP. So if you want to get ungated in DVDs, the rumor used to be you have to at least buy a DVD with a 25 MSRP or more. So that would mean you have to spend at least, what is that, $400?
Like 250.
250. Yeah, 300, right? Or no?
Like for 10 units.
12 times 25 would be 300.
12. You have to do 12.
Yeah, because like you'd have to at least buy. My bad. I don't know. I did 12. 250. You're right. This is my fifth podcast today. I need more coffee,
dude. You're good today.
So I spent $400 to get ungated in DVDs because I used to listen. Not to bash on him, but Reezy Resales told me, and Reezy Resales probably believed it, that $25 was what you needed to get ungated in DVDs. And just recently I found out you can get ungated, like go to christianbook.com. You can purchase 10 DVDs for like $2 a piece. You can get ungated for $20.
Yeah, I think I got ungated for DVDs for $60.
Yeah, it's like, and same with McGraw-Hill textbooks. You can go to McGraw-Hill.com. You can find a $5 textbook. Buy 10 of them, $50, get ungated. Like there's these weird rumors, and part of it might actually have been true at one point, but it's not true anymore. And so that's why it's important it's important to listen to Amazon Savages podcast so you can stay up to date with the
Always.
It's the best strategies that are being used. But
I
yeah,
mean, I
the
listen
game
to this
changes.
while I do my FBM orders. That's for sure.
You said listen to the Amazon Savages podcast.
While I do my orders.
Are you going to listen to this one?
Yeah, it's kind of weird to listen to your own
Do,
podcast,
do you
but
do you listen to your own videos?
I do sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not trying
do
to be
too.
like, okay, I could have done better here.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Sorry.
I'm just like, I'm actually like listening. I listen to my videos as different people. So like like my
That's
YouTube video I
smart.
just shot, I'll listen as like a complete beginner. Then I'll listen as Steve Rake, and then I'll listen as like someone else just to like get the different perspectives. But it'll be like my 5th time listening to like a 40-minute video that I shot, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just listening to myself all day. Am I a narcissist? Probably. What's your biggest failure selling on Amazon, and what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, so the biggest failure on Amazon was I was doing used items from eBay to Amazon. I was doing them probably on too small of a margin because they're items that are easy to break, basically. So I was doing like 30-40% margin, or 30-40% ROI with items I could break pretty easily. And then I was also sending them straight to a prep center without, like, they weren't really testing anything. They weren't making sure stuff wasn't broken. It was just getting
Tiger Lily.
Somewhat Tiger Lily. Yeah. Them and a couple other prep centers. And like, I should have, like, it was a good enough business model, but like, I needed to have some kind of quality control with my items. So that led to like tons of returns, but more so like a ton of counterfeit claims from customers who were unhappy, which eventually put my accounts into the yellow. And basically I was too freaked out to keep buying and selling the way that I should have been. And I made a lot less money the end of last year because of that. So I needed to pivot quicker from that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. What's a common myth about selling on Amazon?
You can only do wholesale. Like, everyone says like, oh, like you need to have like perfect invoices for every single item that you're selling. But then you look at the Keepa graphs and there's people who are obviously selling items that aren't wholesale on like millions of listings. So are all these people going to get suspended in the next 3 months? They have 500 feedback. They're not going to get suspended in the next 3 months. So I think that's a myth. It's just like, you got to just read between the lines a little bit with what's actually going on.
Yeah. In your opinion, what's the most important personality trait someone would need to become a successful Amazon seller?
I think being really obsessed with it is a huge personality trait. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this, Avery, but like the people who are kind of obsessive personalities end up doing really well with Amazon.
Yeah.
They just like get really laser focused on it, and they'll just keep learning and learning and learning. And sometimes they'll take it super far and just leverage super far and just go crazy with it. And it ends up working out because they're also learning as well. You see that as well?
Yeah, 100%. Like, sometimes I meet people and I'm like, wow, like this person seems so normal from like the outside. And then I actually start talking to them and I'm like, oh, this person's so obsessed with Amazon. Like, they're weird. Like, they're a weirdo like me and like everyone else. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense why they're so successful, because they have this little obsession with Amazon. If you have that, if you can get obsessed over these little things, probably it revolves around sourcing. If you get obsessed with sourcing and find good inventory, yeah, I definitely notice that people have success that way.
Yeah. And like for me, basically reselling was my substitute for playing video games. And I was like relatively obsessed with video games. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to quit video games. I'm going to resell. If I make $3 an hour for the next 6 months, who cares? Because like I would have been playing video games anyways. So it's like, as long as I'm improving and like I'll actually like make some progress eventually, like I'm game with that.
Yeah, I think an extreme hate for working your job also helps. So if you hate working your job, like if you really, really hate working your job and you don't want to ever go back, or you want to get out of it, I mean, that's Taylor Jones. He worked a sales job I've never worked a job in my life, but I can imagine what it would be like working a job. I wrestled in college. I had a wrestling coach, and I didn't really like to be told what to do. I love wrestling. I love getting better at wrestling, but like that was probably my least favorite part of college, was like when I was being told what to do in a way that like I didn't really like. And so I feel like having a job would be just like that. Like somebody would tell me what to do all the time and I wouldn't want to do it. And that's what Taylor had. And he decided, fuck this. I'm going to start flipping items from Walmart to Amazon, and made it work out. So I think if you have that hate for a job, you always have that in the back of your mind of fuck this. I don't want to ever go back to that. And that can drive you, because selling on Amazon sucks too. It just sucks in a different way, And so like if you can have like a bigger suck here than like what we're doing, then you'll push through and you'll make it work. And plus there's like unlimited scale with Amazon, whereas like most jobs aren't going to triple or quadruple what you make in a year. With selling on Amazon, you can quadruple what you make if you quadruple your efforts.
Exactly. Like I definitely can relate to that, like really not wanting to go back to your job, like absolutely hating that. Yeah. That's another weird personality trait. Is that a personality trait? Just not wanting to go back to your job.
Yeah, maybe like not liking authority.
Oh yeah. Like a low. What is it on like
agreeableness?
Yeah, agreeableness. Yeah. Are you low in agreeableness?
I think I have multiple personality disorder, and I change based on my environment. I think I'm very disagreeable in business. I think when it comes to me and my team working on our projects, I think I'm very like, I just cut through the bullshit. When I coach wrestling, I'm a wrestling coach now. When I coach, I am disagreeable. But if you catch me on the street or out salsa dancing, I'm probably a pretty agreeable person. Like I'm not going to argue over like where to sit, like at a table if we're out like with friends. And like, if you really want to order guacamole for appetizers, I'm not going to say no. But if we're talking about a business decision, I will instantly like say no if I think it's stupid. So I think like if I take an Enneagram test, it's kind of like watching my YouTube videos over and over again. Like I'll watch them from a different perspective. So I'll watch them from my perspective, from a new viewer's perspective, from an online arbitrage seller's perspective, from a wholesaler's perspective, from somebody that doesn't even know about selling on Amazon. I can do the same thing when I take personality tests. It's like, okay, am I at work right now? Okay, if I'm working, I'm going to answer the questions this way. But if am I with my family? Am I with my friends? Which friends am I with? Am I with my wrestling friends? Am I with my Amazon friends? And based on all those circumstances, I change as a person. And so that's why I jokingly said, like, I have multiple personality disorder. I think we all do. I think we all change based on the situation that we're in.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I've never thought about like the personality test. Like, who am I taking this as?
Yeah,
it's very different.
Well, I think if it's like, think of yourself as a high schooler and you're taking a personality test, and think of yourself in high school. How would you answer these questions? Are you talkative? Well, maybe you never said shit in class, and so you're not very talkative. But at Miami Sellers Conference every year, you're like the life of the party because you're so obsessed with keepographs, you won't shut the fuck up about sales rank. And then like you're just like talking all the fucking time. Like it depends on who you're around. You change based on your environment and your interest and things like that.
Yeah, I think low agreeableness is probably a great trait for Amazon because it's like you need to just like make some choices, decisiveness too, like make the choices quickly. Like you need some balance of it. You can't just like make choices without like calculating stuff because you could screw up real quick.
I think like decisive, like I don't really believe in personality that much. Like I do. There's a book that is like personality isn't permanent or something. And I honestly believe that we assume the personality needed to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves. And so if you have a goal that you set for yourself, you want to do 1 million on Amazon, and you truly actually try to achieve that, and you are the leader, which you have to be because it's your goal. So by default, you are the leader. Anything that doesn't align with your goal of getting 1 million is going to have to be cut out. And so you have to become disagreeable by nature. You can't agree to everything, but if you don't have a goal and you're going about life, then you could probably be a pretty agreeable person. But the moment you set a goal, you have to become disagreeable, because the only way you're going to accomplish that goal is by saying no to so much, you know? And so the goal changed your personality, because if you truly try to achieve that goal, now you have to be a disagreeable person, even if it feels bad, even if you're the type of person that would like to say yes to everything, you have to become disagreeable because you have this goal, which changes your actions, which changes you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not a huge fan of like, oh, this person's a 3 in the Enneagram or an 8. This person might be an 8 today, but they might be a 7 tomorrow. And it depends on what your goal is. Like, as a father, what's your goal? Is your goal to protect your family and to raise kids that are worth a damn? If those are your two goals and that's your frame for approaching life, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to behave in a certain way in the world. When the intruder bangs on the door and he's going to come in with a knife and try to murder your family, I don't give a shit what your personality is. Like, you got to go beat the fuck out of that dude. And so, and it's comes the same thing when you're raising your son or daughter, whatever. Like, you have your goal, which changes your actions and behaviors, which changes you, which changes your personality. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people's personality is really kind of based on like, what are they trying to achieve?
Yeah, I would say though, with the Enneagram, like I think people can change their like personality traits with still being certain personality types. And so like whether or not if a person's coming in the door and about to kill your family, and you're a 6 versus you're a 1 versus you're a 3, like you still need to like go deal with the problem.
Yeah. The problem is
there's going to be changes within your personality, but you're still going to operate as a 6 or as a.
And it kind of like
dry, but
it almost skews the definition of like what is motivation. Like, would you consider yourself a motivated person?
No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I would. But it has to be, yeah, it's like the thing is it does have to do with your goal though, because like I'm a motivated person when it comes to Amazon and like achieving what I want or making a certain amount of profit. But when it comes to like my like, am I going to get the dishes done? Or like, am I going to go get my oil changed? Like I've needed to get my oil changed for like the last like.
So what would you say a motivated person is? Like, what would you say? Like, what makes somebody motivated? How can you look at someone and say that person is motivated?
They like do the thing and they could be motivated in one area and not motivated in another area.
Yeah. So they do the thing. So I think this is a really interesting concept. If you don't feel like doing the thing and you do the thing, are you motivated?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So like, I've always thought that motivation is like the desire and the want to do something. Like, oh, I really want to go skateboarding, or I really want to achieve a 7-figure business. So it's that like driving force. I used to think motivation was that, which some people still hold that definition. But I think your definition is actually better. It's just doing the thing. Like, I woke up today and I really didn't want to shoot 5 podcasts, but I was like, I have to shoot 5 podcasts. And so even though I didn't feel like doing them, I did them. And so like, from like a bird's eye view, if like a mad scientist alien was like looking at my human life and being like, all right, this is Avery. He's doing the things he needs to do, or that he's just doing the things. He's doing the things. Therefore, he's motivated. But like inside, I don't even feel like doing it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I just want to go outside and fucking drink coffee, fuck around. But I know that certain things must be done. And even if I don't feel like doing them, I need to do them. And so then by doing the thing, that means I'm motivated because I'm doing them, you know, and it goes like that with everything in your Amazon business. Like, you don't want to look through the ASIN list and like determine which ones are profitable. You don't want to source the inventory. Maybe you do.
You might.
But it doesn't really matter if you want to do it or not. All that matters is that you do it. It doesn't matter if you fucking are so joyful going through the ASIN catalog, finding this out, or if you feel like shit. Like, the outcome that's going to occur from you going to the thrift store and scanning 5,000 books, if you do that thing, you're going to come home with $543 in profit. Like, mathematically, that's what happens when you go out and you scan a bunch of books you are going to find profitable inventory, whether you feel like it or not. Like if you do the things required to build a profitable Amazon business, doesn't matter what you think about yourself, doesn't matter how you feel, doesn't matter if you feel motivated, like you're going to get the results and you're going to get the money in your bank account as long as you just do the things, even if they suck.
And I think the interesting connection to that is like, you may not be motivated to do the thing, especially at first, but as you keep doing the thing, like you're not going to be super motivated to like go scan books at the thrift store because all these people are staring at you. But then eventually you do it more and you're like, I don't care. And then you do it more and you're like, haha, it's funny.
Yeah. Well, I think my brain just kind of shuts off. Like when I shot my first podcast today, it's like, well, he's doing the thing. He's not going to not do the thing. Like he's fucking here doing it. So like eventually I think what your brain tries to do is it tries to convince you that there's an alternate route. And so like I swam in college. I walked on the team because everyone always said I looked like Michael Phelps. And I was like, fuck it, let me try. And so every morning I had to wake up and be in the pool by 6 a.m. Now, this is 100% my choice to be in the pool at 6 a.m. I wrestled in college too. That was my passion. That was what I was actually good at. But I thought that I still do this in business. I try to take on so many things at once. I was like, let me swim too. But my brain knew that it was still an option. So at wrestling practice, I never once had the thought of, fuck this, I want to quit, blah, blah, blah. But my brain still knew it was kind of debatable with swimming. It was kind of like, let's figure this thing out and see if we want to do this. So every day in the pool, my brain was just like, fuck this. Like, let's not do this anymore. Like, let's stop. This is terrible. Because my brain still knew that it could probably convince me, the human, that I didn't have to do it. It did eventually. Eventually, I was like, yeah, this is kind of too much. And so 3 weeks in, I quit the swim team because I just walked on. But my brain knew that there was a way out. And so I think if you truly commit to something and prove to yourself there is no way out, like I would never work a job. My brain knows that. And so when my Amazon account gets shut down this summer, what do? Do I go job searching? No, it's not even an option for me. I figure it the fuck out. I'm like, all right, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make money? How am I going to get another Amazon account? Like, what am I going to do now? And so like, it just goes through. And so I think a lot of times your brain will give you that negative emotion to get out of whatever you're doing because your brain knows that it's still debatable with you. And so like once I started shooting podcasts this morning and I'm like, I have 5 hours of fucking talking with people, my brain just shut off. It's like, this guy's not going to stop. He's going to do it. And so having this negative emotion associated with it, it's not going to serve any purpose because he's not going to leave. And so then I think with time, it just dissipates. Like the negative emotion just leaves.
And you have that goal in mind of like, why am I shooting podcasts? Like, I want to grow with like GoToLister and like help these people who like these poor saps who are still spending 4 minutes per book.
Yep.
Crazy people. Like, exactly. Take a free trial. Like you're going to save some time.
Exactly. So yeah, that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Yeah, because entrepreneurship is so self-motivated. And that's what people have to realize is like you have to do the things required. Even it's a blessing if you enjoy what you do every day, which most days I do enjoy what I'm doing. But sometimes it's just like, I don't want to do this. But the beautiful thing about the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is it doesn't care if you want to do it. It just cares, do you do it? And so for everyone listening out there, Seth, I knew Seth years ago, and he was not doing 20,000 profit months, but he did the things required to get there. And whether or not he felt like it, doesn't matter. He is now at 20K profit months. As long as he continues to do the things that got him there, he will continue to grow. And that's beautiful. You know?
I appreciate that. That's true though. You just got to keep doing the same things and growing as well. So
what tools do you use for your Amazon business? Be careful what you say here because I might come out to Denver a little, Seth.
He's gonna
if you name some competition.
Romer's gonna come out and start beating me because I use inventory lab still. But I think he's converted me because the thing that I need the most is I think a common reason not to use GoToLister is like, oh, my prep center uses inventory lab.
Yeah.
But I mean, my prep center, obviously, as we talked about earlier, is going
to start using GoToLister right now. We're going to come up with a special offer for you guys.
And that helps as well. And then another thing that I think is going to be helpful because one problem that I have that probably a lot of other sellers have as well, they might not even be conscious that they have this problem, is like, how do I stay in stock on all this inventory? Especially like eBay to Amazon as well for me. Cause I'm like, there's a lot of stuff I want to be in stock on, but it's not always in stock. So I need to like have some metrics of like, how am I going to stay in stock on these like 100
Dude, we got to
items?
just get you set up. I don't know if I showed this on the pod or not. I've been shooting pods all day. I forget. I think I showed you before the pod, right? The replay sheet we have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to. Yeah. You want to explain it?
Yeah. So for all the GoToLister users, obviously GoToLister knows what you've listed on Amazon. So it knows like what items you have in stock or are about to have in stock. Like let's say you make a GoToLister shipment of 300 units and you send them to Amazon. Those aren't active at Amazon yet, but they should be accounted for when it comes to restocking. So what you can do is download 2 reports from GoToLister, upload them to this special spreadsheet that we give our users, import the listing data here, import the sales data here, and it tells you which items you need to buy more of that you do not have a 30-day supply of. So you might have 53 units of one ASIN, but you only have a 15-day supply because you're going to sell 53 units in 15 days. So you really need to buy, if you want to have a 30-day supply, you should buy 50 more. And so this will actually sort the items that you need to buy more of. And that's just by importing the listing data and sales data. And it factors in a 30-day supply. So just make sure you have a 30-day supply of all your items. And so I think
it looks like on that you could go, could you pull it back up real quick? It looks like on that you could probably go over to the right and sort by maybe profit per unit sold.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would sort it by buy more. So this is going to tell you how many units to buy. And then you might have like one that's like a crazy number, like 500. That means you've sold a ton of that and you have very little stock. Then what I would do is I would look at the total profit or profit per unit sold and make sure it's actually profitable. Like you don't want to buy more inventory if it's not making you that much profit. And so that's how I would do that. The problem with traditional OA is a lot of times you can't buy the same item over and over again. So if you're doing like Nike shoes and stuff, this isn't extremely helpful for you. It's kind of good to like,
honestly, it's the same thing for me. Like I can't just go restock my like most profitable ASIN at will. Like most of the time, like if it's that good of an opportunity, it's not always going to be.
See, with wholesale, it's the opposite. Like with wholesale, when I put in my PO every month or whatever it's called, what's PO stand for? Is it a blank? PO like purchase order. Okay, I don't know why. For some reason in my head, I was like PO is only like a one-time thing, but no, I was thinking of like first time purchase order. I don't know. FTO, FPO, making stuff up. When I put in my PO, I make sure that I'm replenishing all my inventory that I don't have a 30-day supply of. And so this is extremely helpful for wholesale. Theoretically, it's extremely helpful for OA too, but you can't always go back and buy the same items. But sometimes it's just helpful to see like, hey, I should be buying more items like this. It shows what you've sold the most of. And pretty soon, we're going to put a roadmap on GoToLister.com, but pretty soon this is going to all be within GoToLister. So you'll just have a tab here that says restock. You'll click on that and it'll show you your most profitable ASINs that you do not have a 30-day supply of. That's coming soon. Boom. I got wrestling practice. Any last words for the people?
I just want to say thanks for having me on. I mean, honestly, if you just take the steps required to get to the goal, not all at once, talking to other sellers, figuring out those problems.
Go watch all Checkmate Flips videos on YouTube, guys. Seriously, like he's obviously doing this. It's super impressive what he's built. And I don't even really think he tries to sell you anything on his channel. So go watch all of his YouTube videos for free. And he breaks down how he does what he does.
Thanks for having me on, Romer.
100%. I'll see you, brother.
See ya.